Welcome to episode 25 of season 2 of Expressions, the podcast. This week we have a super special surprise. We are growing. That's right. We've asked our friends from Planet Pointless, Shawn and John, to be additional permanent co-hosts of the show, and they said,
yes. We said, yes. Fuck yeah, Lou.
Wait, how long?
They said yes.
Tonight is our big first night to sit back. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Woo!
Yo, pleasure.
Wait, how long? How long?
Let's all go to the love.
Well, thank you guys so much. We've had you on our
Brian.
show twice before, and getting into a busy season, busy year, we have lives to live. So there's been some times where we only have one person or not enough people to run a show, and we want to make this kind of environment where we can be here or not be here. As you all have noticed, if you've watched our show in the past, sometimes there's people on and sometimes there's less people. The host kind of in and out, because we're doing this because we love it. We enjoy it, and we don't want to be stressed out by it. So having John and Shawn on as permanent co-hosts now, option A, like one thing, gives us an extra 2 people that can really help with the show. And I just love these guys because there's always something funny that comes up. There's a contrary opinion to things. There's a youthful view on life. There's
youthful.
An ability.
Oh my God.
Come on, I'm like ancient over here, right?
In comparison to who? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, though. Appreciate it. Yo, that's awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. So thank you for being here, guys. I don't need to get too much into it because this whole episode, the first half of this episode, is about you and about why you're here. And we've had our episode 0, and that's why I said in the intro it's kind of episode 0, because this is your episode 0. Your first time on our show as permanent hosts, and this is your chance to talk to us and let us know why you do what you do, why you wanted to be a part of the show. And then after that, we got some other stuff to talk about. So, as you guys like to say, and as I've said many times, the meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes.
Right?
I'm glad that moved over here. Love
Well,
that.
we had it
That's
first,
stuck.
technically. I mean, we've been doing it for a while, but whatever. It's okay. We don't need to go there. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who don't know Planet Pointless, their podcast that these guys do together, it's still going on. It's awesome. And the reason I love it is because there's so much bullshit out there. Sorry. That's trying to come off. It's trying to come off as intelligent, like you have to listen to us to get all the proper news, when I don't need that. I get enough of that in my world. I want to just listen to fun stuff. Here's some fun. What do you guys do? What do you call it? The rankings? What's that called?
Oh yeah, we love
our fucking what was it? Our brackets that we
the
did
brackets.
last season.
Exactly.
And we also do the tier lists on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff to listen to, and the banter between these two guys is so natural and fun. So I hope that carries over to our show. But then again, they have their own completely separate, unique identity that they've got going on. So check that out as well. And
we have to kind of keep it under wraps. Well, mainly me. I got to keep my bullshit under wraps because I'm a big degen apparently.
I thought that Brian was gonna say, "There's so much bullshit." Stop.
End of story.
You're wrong.
Nothing about that is wrong. Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
All right, so let's get it. First, before we do that, I haven't even said hi to Aurora and Mark. And guys, good to see you. Really nice to see you. Aurora, I know I was just working with you today. So how are you doing? Like, what's news that you've done since we've talked last?
I've been watching episodes of Good Girls. I'm really obsessed with that show right now. So, yeah. Oh, and it's also today, July 17th is the day that we're filming this. I don't know when this is posted. A couple weeks from now, I think. But July 17th is the day that we're recording this. And it is my aunt's birthday, my uncle's birthday, their anniversary, my other uncle's birthday, and my grandfather's birthday today.
Wow.
So
That's a mouthful.
Was that planned?
Yeah.
Like, did they all kind of come together and say, we're going to get married on our birthdays, and we got to do it on the
part
same
is
day as
planned.
Dad?
That's actually genius because he'll
It is.
never forget the anniversary.
No.
There you go.
Oh, it's not all the same.
No, so grandfather is on my father's side, and then my aunt and the other uncle is on the one side, and then my aunts met somebody who had the same birthday as her, and they're like, "Why not? Let's have our anniversary on the same day." So they decided to get married on their birthday.
Right.
So
Like Mark
that's
said.
interesting.
And you never forget it.
So nobody's
Perfect.
sleeping on the couch. This is good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And today is the day of birthdays. So
There you go.
I called my
Shout
grandfather. That was
My
it.
mother and my stepmother are both the exact same age. Like same birthday, same age.
Wow.
Wow.
Totally
Well,
different people.
There you go.
My sibling,
Thank goodness.
James, who was on the show, also shares my birthday, December 20th.
Whoa.
So,
How many years
small
apart?
fun
The
fact.
day after.
The same day, 5 years apart.
That's funny how that works out. It's like parents get together on like one night a year, and then 9 months later, it's
Just like the old, you know,
there's another one, same day.
If only babies really work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't have any. I don't really know the whole
Was
process
it-
yet.
I'm not
My
familiar.
my wife comes from a family of nurses, and my mother-in-law was a nurse, and she always liked to say the only thing she knows about birth and babies is that the first one takes 9 months, the rest of them come whenever they want.
That's so funny, actually.
fair enough.
Okay, yeah. Is that the thing?
First one for each mother, to be specific.
Okay.
I know even less about birth and babies because, well, you know, dogs
I
and
don't
cats.
know nothing about birth, no babies.
Birth and babies.
Come on.
Where the
Part of our
hell did that
conversation-
Oh my
come
God.
from?
Well, this is actually part of our conversation that we're having later on. The meat and potatoes. show. How much of your life is
No, Brian
influenced-
just yanked that out of himself. That was crazy.
Okay, you
took
haven't
over
seen. I think it's Roots.
Sorry, no, I have
Remember
not
the
seen
old
Roots.
TV docu-series called Roots? I think. that's
Oh,
what
it's open right now. Yep. Nope, I'm getting Roots Canada, like the corporation.
Totally not the same thing. Not
No.
even close. The TV show Roots. It was, I believe, in the 80s or 90s, and one of the people had to give birth, and they turned to the nanny. She's like, "I don't know nothing about birth, no babies," and it's just stuck in my brain. It's classic television. All right, moving on.
God damn.
It's not a bad thing. It's a great show. I don't know what you guys are doing. All right, so I'm almost yelling, apparently.
Apparently. All right.
I
Because we're having fun.
I'm having fun. That's what we
We
do.
are having fun.
All right, so let's get into this, guys. Mark, we haven't said hi to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Very good.
Well done.
Well done. There you go. Hey.
Short and sweet. Moving on.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Summer's finally here in Thunder Bay. The snow is gone. It was gone by last Thursday, I think. So that's.
Wow.
kidding.
Thank goodness.
I'm kidding for sure, but yeah, the cars have been out. I've been to the car shows, and it's been a lot of fun. We're there's mosquitoes galore, but I think that's everywhere this year, just because the summer was late getting here, and the spring was so wet. So there's lots of puddles of schmuck for the mosquitoes to breed in, right? So
Okay. Funny you said that. Puddles of schmuck. So
He's going somewhere with this. I know he is.
yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
I feel like it is, yeah.
So I'm Jew-ish, right? So
Heavy on the
I don't know why the way you said that was so funny.
because it's
Jew-ish.
ish.
it's kind of, yeah, heavy on the itch. Yeah.
I was born Jewish, and I'm not really practicing. I respect it, and there's all that, but I haven't really practiced. Anyway, my grandmother and my mother not very religious, but they know the stuff. My mom was a Hebrew school teacher and so on. Anyway, long story short, my wife and my bubby met each other for the first time, and they're riding an elevator up and down. Of course, that's what they do. And so my wife is telling the story about how she was hit by a car to my grandmother, and she said she was schmucked by a car. And my bubby, I don't know if you know, but in Hebrew, schmuck means penis.
Nope, did not know that actually.
So the first thing my puppy's like, "Excuse me,
Beg pardon?
you were what?" Anyway,
Was dick down by a car.
apparently.
Oh my god.
All right, so
Sean, all right, you're done. Sean, you're
So
cut off.
now I know why it's derogatory when they call somebody a schmuck, because they're called.
Exactly.
You're
Oh,
basically
interesting. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Why didn't we
Little
talk
insight.
about that on the origins of expressions?
Because that's just language. That's just that's a different language. That's all that is. All right. So, Mark, that was fascinating. Thank you very much.
There you
All right. Now let's get to what you guys are here for. John and Shawn, thank you so much again for being here. Let's talk a little bit about why you like the podcast, first off, and why you said yes to being here with us this week. And
It was
from
a
now on,
very,
because it's a
very
big
easy.
commitment.
Oh, it is a very big commitment. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we got all the guidelines laid out at the beginning.
Yeah, that was a lot.
What you can say, what you can't say.
Yeah, the dress code.
Literally.
Dress code.
Oh yeah, dress code. Got that in the mail. Yeah. In my expressions podcast starting booklet.
Yeah. Did you get the welcome kit with the lube and everything in it?
Whoa. I didn't
No,
get
for
that.
whatever reason that was lost in the mail. Don't know why.
You should check with Shawn. Shawn, did you get two?
I think I did. I used them though.
Oh, perfect.
Already? Holy
Yeah.
shit. All right. Well,
Look at this. We try to be useful as a podcast, so now obviously we're useful in other ways. So
love the eclectic number of guests that you guys get on your podcast. Like, you guys know so many interesting people. You bounce off questions so effectively, quickly, one to the other. It's so perfectly conversational, not fragmented. I can just put you guys on in the background and learn something new.
Cool.
You know,
Can we
absolutely love
Is
it.
he
And every
talking
time
about-
we're here,
Is he talking about us?
yeah, talk about you guys. Yeah, every
That's so
time
nice.
Shawn and I are here, we feel like home. There you go.
Yeah.
Aw.
Aw.
Well, now you are.
It's like a very clean home. Whereas like when we go back to our podcast, it's more or less like a very dirty and out of place home.
I
It's
would
more like a
call
house,
it,
not a home.
yeah, like an unkept zoo.
Now,
Somebody's mucking at
podcasting.
the stalls. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. Podcasting is a funky thing. There's like 1,000,001 different podcasts, right? There's so many different kinds of things. That's why I wanted to say at the beginning of ours that it's very important that you guys keep what you've got going on.
Oh, we are. Oh, don't everybody worry.
So-
We'll have our weekly dose of bullshit over on Fridays on everything.
Explain to us the background, how that started. I know we've talked to you about your podcast in the past, but quickly kind of brush us up again, how it started and why you chose to do podcasting.
So John initially started doing a bunch of podcasts because he had a shitload of ideas that he wanted to work out with a bunch of the homies. For people that don't understand what homies are, they're just friends, just people we chat with. Just
We're not
people
that
I-
old. Come
People
on.
I drink next to, you know.
So
Chilling with the homies.
so he had all these ideas, and every single one of them, for lack of a better term, shit the bed. And he landed on doing a show with me, and I was like, I wasn't hesitant at all at saying yes to it. And for some reason, it sparked this thing in other people that were just like, if you stop doing this, we're gonna riot. And
Yeah.
we're like, okay, well, we're
All-
just
all
not gonna
five.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
okay, so that-
it's fun.
Pause on that for a quick second, John. You said all five. I feel that because this podcast isn't necessarily listened to by 2.5 million people or something like that.
Mm-mm.
But you get interaction. You get people calling, like messaging you guys and giving you feedback on that. It's important that you keep it going. That right there says a lot. It doesn't matter if you have 5 or 5 million. If you're connecting with the people that speak your language.
And you know what? That is 100% true, because I'm not going to poo-poo the, maybe. Shawn, come on.
You're not?
Are you serious? You're laughing over the word poo-poo?
Sorry, that's just too
Shawn, mute yourself now. I'm not going to poo-poo the 30 people that listen a week or something like that, right? Because whoever does listen to it gets a lot out of it, apparently. We've had a couple people come up and just say, yeah, especially like kind of what you said at the beginning of on the top of the show. It's just like, I need to get my mind off the serious shit that's going on in the world. Let's talk about farts and, terrible horror movies or something,
Was that the intent when you first started, to have that kind of a vibe? Like, let's just like suspend disbelief for an hour or so and just talk about random shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it was more or less like a mental experiment for us, right? Because the same concept you guys had to just kind of do something for your own mental health and whatever else, right? It was the same thing for us, right? We needed something to gab about bullshit for, you know what I mean? Like we just needed an out to kind of just get the shit out of the week, and then the rest of the week we were just all calm and collected. You know, we didn't worry about no bills, no jobs, no nothing. We just we were relaxed more than anything after recording the first few episodes, and even now to this day, we're just going into our 5th season come August, hopefully, and it's a big change of pace, man. Like we're still gabbing about the same different bullshit, as if that makes any sense, and it really changes your perspective on how you think about things when you have an outlet to just kind of let out a bunch of garbage that happens throughout the week, and you have that place to just kind of display whatever discrepancies you have with humans. So,
and neither of us have been fired for it yet, so we're doing well.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing we said at the beginning of the show. This is employer friendly, and you were both like, "Oh God, what are we gonna do?"
No. Well, if we
Well,
ever cross the line, please let us know.
Nah.
Yeah.
We put
The
an
line's like
explicit
a
rating
mile
on the
wide.
show.
We're good.
Imagine Brian reprimanded us on air. I'd feel so bad.
I would feel bad.
How
here,
dare
son.
you?
Now, 5th season, that's pretty amazing. How do you guys determine seasons? I've always wanted to know that. Like, we just keep going until we're so tired we can't do anymore. We're like, okay, end of a season.
I think
I don't know,
we
man.
started to cap it out at 20, I believe.
20
we were like
episodes,
20, and
yeah.
we were like, yeah, let's just stop it there and just take a break. And
Oh, so technically we're in our 3rd season. We should be.
Yeah, something like that.
This is
If you were
episode
on-
60.
if you're on Planet Pointless time, yeah.
Pee-pee time. It's pee-pee time.
It's like
Poo and pee-pee.
expressions, but in dog years. It's
Yeah, see, that makes sense. That's a good
I love
analogy.
that, yeah.
And judging by Aurora's reactions, this is like her last show. It's like, oh my God.
It's like, the hell with you, I'm going to work for Mel Brooks.
Oh, that wouldn't be so bad. That wouldn't be bad at all.
I think he pays better than we do.
Mel Brooks. How well do you guys know Mel Brooks?
No, I had him over for dinner last week. He's good. Kidding.
Mel
If Mel's people are listening, please don't sue me.
Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, just amazing stuff. The reason I say it is because my camera's named the Schwartz, because for Star Wars fans, you use the Force, but for Mel Brooks fans, you use the Schwartz.
Spaceballs.
Oh,
love that
cool.
movie.
He's in
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs. Yeah, okay.
It's a good time.
I'm a bog. I'm half dog, half man. No, John Candy was good in that.
Oh,
I
boy.
think that was one of John Candy's best movies, honestly.
Well, this is actually interesting. Maybe we should segue over, unless you guys have anything you'd like to add about podcasting that you've learned and that you would like to pass on in your 5 seasons before we move on, because the whole movies theme, it really ties into the meat and potatoes of this show. So before we get to that, though, any advice for podcasters looking to get into podcasting? And first of all, let's clarify. Your podcast, our podcast, I don't know if you're monetized. We're not monetized. We don't do this for money.
Nope,
So-
no money over there. No money for us.
Nope, nothing on our planet.
The only sponsorships we've ever worked out were with local people, friends of ours.
Mhm.
We shout out their brand, like Canadian Lifestyles brand or something like that. They hook us up with a sweater, bada bing, bada boom.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, so and like just kind of stuff like that, but no, zero monetization.
And when you got into your podcast, and like, first of all, who got into it? Who started? For us, it was Aurora. Aurora had told us where to go for the RRS feed or RSS feed and all that behind the scenes mumbo jumbo. Like, who was kind of in charge of that?
That would be me. Yeah. So I started with just doing it on SoundCloud. Just started putting like long form episodes on SoundCloud because I could use songs and not get dinged for it. But then I moved over to, I'm just going to say it, whatever, Anchor. I'm on anchor.fm right now. That's the one that we use. And I found it works really well. It's actually a seamless little platform to make podcasts and stuff like that. So, podcast advice, zero barrier to entry, like
It's
just
fact.
yeah, just do whatever you want, man. Like, and if people like it, they'll listen to it. I think it like there's this whole connotation around podcasting that it's just like people love to talk, basically, and like that's definitely true, not kind of true. But if you feel like you have something interesting to say, shoot for it. That's all.
Yeah,
Just give it a try. It's
literally
easier now than ever.
Yeah, just dive headfirst into the shallow end, and then eventually you make your way into the deep end, right? So it's just how it works, you know. You jump into something and you try it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But it's a fun thing to do, man. I mean, podcasting for us, we're just two best friends. All we do is just fart around, you know. It's a good time. You make a job out of it, you know.
And if people enjoy our farting around, even better.
Exactly.
And I love that you say jump headfirst into a shallow end when you're a skateboarder.
Retired now.
No, I don't know that move.
Are you retired? Are you no longer doing all that?
I haven't done it in the last year, and I don't know. My body just disagrees with me about throwing myself downstairs and handrails and shit now. So yeah. I don't know. I still want to do it. I have the urge every now and then, but I go out for an hour and then I lose my breath. Just walking from my car to the skate park, and yeah, I can't do it no more. Much anymore.
That's what happens when you get a nice fancy car, though. You stop walking everywhere. You stop riding a bike and skateboarding everywhere. Yep.
Too busy going to car shows now, like Mark.
Well, hey, I've only been to one this year, anyways. But
that's cool. All right, let's get into the next part of the conversation. Unless Aurora and Mark, you have anything else you'd like to ask?
I don't have anything to ask. I just sort of wanted to talk a little more about the podcasting. Like you talked about jumping into it for you and for doing things. And for me, anybody that knows me knows that I picked up my family and moved to Thunder Bay for a career that didn't end up panning out. But we moved to Thunder Bay and 16 hours from home from friends and family. So this for me, when Brian invited me, I guess it was 2020, right during the beginning of the pandemic. It was not only an escape and something to do for my mental health, but with Brian and Aurora, my anchor to home, because they work in Aurora, Newmarket, sorry, and obviously that's my store, is my Henry's store is in the one in Newmarket that Aurora manages, and of course Brian works at. So that's my anchor to home.
Wow.
Aurora's laughing at me. She's like, he's just verbal diarrhea.
No. I'm like, I'm finally the manager again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just threw that out, and as I said it, I thought, shit, I hope it's true.
I can't tell you how excited I am about it too. We've had I've been at Henry's for 17 years. During that period of time, I've had a lot of different managers come and go. And when Aurora was filling in for our previous manager, just the way she got stuff done and the willingness to go social media and to do the things that we did at our store, it inspired me and it got me excited to go to work. So I'm very happy that you're back, and I'm happy that you stuck with the whole podcast thing throughout all this too. I think it's a good group of people we have. I think it's really cool. And I think you two add so much to it. Seriously. I'm a firm believer that any proper conversation has to have multiple opinions, or else nobody's learning from anything. Everybody's just yes men. John, you said this before we started recording. You can't have a bunch of people that are just all agreeing with each other, right? Like, not that we do that, but having you two on, it's a different generation than me. It's a different background than I think the rest of us. And that kind of input can only help a conversation. And I couldn't agree more. And I think it's cool for you guys too, because like you said, we got a lot of different kinds of guests, right? So
for sure. Yeah.
1 minute you'll be chatting with an electrician, and then 1 minute you'll be chatting with a bladesmith, and then 1 minute you'll be chatting with an actor, or I just never know what's going to come next. We have somebody coming in September, which I'm really excited about, Carrie Ann Lecky Hepburn, who is a deep space photographer, but she's also the helicopter pilot and weather reporter for the Weather Network.
That is so fucking cool.
Pretty cool stuff. So, and next week I guess it would be next week, we're talking with Danny Proctor, who is a magician / video guy / producer guy. So there's all kinds of cool stuff coming. And with the people that we're going to get a completely different cast of characters too. So I can't wait.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Anything else, guys, before we move on to potatoes and meat?
I feel like he loves that too much.
Honestly, it's so
Is that what you're having for dinner?
No, actually, Shelly made me a badass sandwich. It was great.
Oh,
The irony is I'm vegetarian, so
Oh.
I get the meat, he gets the potatoes.
Wait, is that true? You're actually a vegetarian?
that is true. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. I don't think we ever had a vegetarian host.
Well, very good.
That's important.
I love the excitement.
Finally, give it time.
Make a note of that. Vegetarian.
Vegetarian. All right.
Don
No
is
meat platter for John. Perfect.
No. Save
No.
the Pepperidge Farms meat platter.
Fish Farms.
remembers.
Is that a thing? Is that still a thing? I don't know.
Wait,
All right,
no,
guys. Let's talk about this.
Oh,
How
yeah.
much of your vocabulary is directly taken from TV or movies? Throwing it out there.
Oh.
I gave this some thought.
Because we talked
you asked
about it
us
when
on
I
our
was on
show.
your podcast last week there. But I thought I think like 30% minimum for me. I mean, just talking with us in this conversation, how many quotes did I say from movies? 3?
Like at least 3, yeah. No,
At least
I'm
3 or
thinking
4,
like
yeah.
I'm thinking about the same as you actually. Maybe even closer to 50 on my end.
See, before when we were talking, you said like none.
Yeah, no, but I gave it some thought, and like some of the turns of phrase that I use come directly from shit like The Office or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
Like I'll drop an Office reference in there every now and again. I'm not proud of it. I'm trying to quit. But
There are some classic movies though, or TV shows that we just immediately when we start thinking quotes, we start thinking of these specific things.
Mm.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we go down and ask each of one of us 1 or 2 quotes that we can just think of off the top of our head. I'm sure we have them. And then we'll get into the impact that TV has had on our society and some of the things that have gone on and where we think, influences have come from. But just start off the top of the head. Aurora, why don't you start? Are there a couple of quotes that you can think of off the top of
Hold
your
on a
head?
second.
Go around, moving on.
I think we should make this interesting though. Say your quote, and then we'll see if anybody else knows what movie or TV show it's from.
All right.
good luck to me.
All right. I'm making notes now.
Oh, God.
Right, now I'm trying to think of all those quotes that I normally think of.
Yeah. As soon as something like this comes up, my mind goes blank.
I would
know
love
what
to
it
say my
is.
mind goes blank because it usually does, but I actually have quotes. So why
Go
don't I
for it.
start? Unless Sean, do you have some?
I'm thinking still. I'm working on it. I got
I'll
a lot
think-
of quotes in my brain there.
I'll
I
take the
have
pressure
one
off.
that's kind of weird that I just remembered that I used.
I like weird.
But if my friend is seeing someone new, or like not Sean specifically, but people I've spoken to, if they're seeing someone new, I'm like, does she have man hands? That comes directly.
Oh my god!
And nobody gets it at any point, and I just sound like a weirdo.
Are you kidding me? So I married an axe murderer.
She had man hands.
She stole my heart and my cat. Woman. Whoa, man.
Man. Whoa, man.
Man.
Classic.
Yep.
All right.
Nice.
Well, that was a good
There
one.
you go. So we guessed that one already. Perfect.
So I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
So here's the first one. They were cones.
Sorry,
They were cones.
They were cones.
cones.
Wedding singer.
Oh, yep, never saw it,
Wedding
but I
singer
know a
was
lot of people who have.
Hitting
actually.
cones and okay, so that's a good one. And those aren't pillows.
Place transit automobiles.
Man,
Exactly.
I'm the worst.
Damn it.
Yeah. Where's your hand? They're between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
I
And
love
that
it.
was Steve Martin and John Candy sharing a bed in a seedy motel, right? And they wake up spooning in the morning. Yeah.
That's right. There are so many quotes from. Let's just use these character actors. Let's use John Candy for a quick second. I could think of so many quotes just from John Candy. My favorite is from SCTV.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch much SCTV, but there's a
Not
skit where John Candy is playing Johnny LaRue, and he goes into this laundry room, and all these women are doing laundry. I think I've told this to Aurora once or twice. And so he goes in there, and these women are doing laundry, and they're like, Johnny, 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 I've got grease on my shirt. So he's like, oh, you got grease. You put in more grease. So he takes this jug of grease and he pours it into the machine, and he leaves. So then he comes back in the room a couple minutes later, and they're like, Johnny, Johnny, all our shirts are greasy. He goes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And he walks out of the room. Just like, that's freaking brilliant. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, well, it's like a worst case thing that could possibly happen, but not a big deal, you know.
Oh, I just thought of one.
What is it?
It's from the IT crowd, Chris O'Dowd. Did you try turning it off and on again?
I'm not kidding. I used to answer my phone like that when I was a computer geek, because I did like store systems, right? Store technology, and I literally I would answer the phone. Hello, Mark speaking. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Oh boy,
because it's amazing how many things that fixes.
Yeah.
Just turn it off and on again, and it truly fixes it, right?
It's like a reset.
Yeah.
In general, just a reset.
Absolutely, yeah.
A hard reset.
TV
Hello, IT.
and movies and all these things have become ingrained in our society. There are so many things that we don't even think about that are originally derived from a TV episode or something like that. So many things from like Seinfeld and Friends and all these TV shows growing up, Star Trek, Star Wars. All these movies, all these TV shows have a common theme, and they are written to be funny. They are written specifically to give us these moments to, in some ways, change society, if you think about it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. Okay, TV commercial. Where's the beef?
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Yeah,
that changed
that one.
Everything. That changed how hamburger joints make burgers. That changed quality control. That changed marketing. That changed so many different things, all because of a catchy, creative advertising line, right? So people don't realize the power that this has. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but when I was a kid, there was always this big debate on our TVs and movies influencing our children and creating more crime and creating more violence and so on and so forth. What do you guys think of that concept? Do you think that that's actually true?
I just think of the West Memphis 3 every single time this comes up. It's those kids who dressed as goths who were, I believe, convicted for a murder that none of them actually committed, because they listened to violent music and like play video games and all that stuff. Same thing with the Columbine thing. They blamed it on Marilyn Manson, and which is kind of a terrible, that's a sentiment that aged like milk. But I think that I don't know. It's tough to say, but I don't think that a piece of media can influence somebody.
I think it influences. There's a lot of humor that comes out, whether it be in a short or a TV commercial, a TV show, a movie. There's a lot of things like we're sitting here and we're joking about different quotes from movies and things like that. Like I think about the Michael Douglas movie Falling Down, or Steve Martin the Jerk, and stuff like that. And I don't think anybody's going to watch that movie and then go out and think, oh, I got to go, try and kill Steve Martin and the Jerk. It's like
exactly.
I think of the gas station, right? When the guy's shooting and he's hitting all the cans, he's like, "It's the cans! He hates the cans! Get away from the cans!" Because he's shooting all the oil cans in the window. But I think it's not that influences people, because I think everybody has that moral code, right? So you've grown up with a moral code, right from wrong. And
if you have grown up with a moral code,
correct.
See, that's the kicker.
I think most people did, right? And where you run into, like you mentioned Columbine, John. When you talk about Columbine, there's something wrong with that moral code in there where that happens. Like whether it's a mental illness, a mental health issue, or something like that. That doesn't happen because I saw a movie. I saw a stormtrooper shooting at Luke Skywalker, so now I'm going to go do it. I don't think that happens, because I know when I watch that movie or I watch Die Hard and I watch Hans Gruber, I know killing people's wrong. I know stealing is wrong. I didn't need, and my dad and my mom obviously were my guiding force, because we didn't do church in my family, but everybody has that moral code where right from wrong. And I don't think a movie or a TV show or a comedy sketch is going to make you do that. It's going to be, there's something else fundamentally wrong with a person to have them think that it's okay to go out and kill somebody to steal something.
For sure. I think if you're predisposed to violence, then something like, I don't know, Star Wars might push an urge or something like that. But there has to be existing mental issues. I think it's irresponsible to point to a piece of media and say, "Yep, that's why." No, he loved Holywood by Marilyn Manson. That's the problem. There it is.
Yep.
You see, like I can kind of get on that same kind of vibe there with you, Mark. But like at the same time, I mean, I know for me personally, when I watch like, I don't know, like any like war movies or anything like where there's a bunch of people just getting blown to bits by machine guns and shit. I'm not gonna go out and like just pick up a rifle off the dark web and then start gunning down a bunch of people, right? But I know that for a fact when I watch any movie, like let's say like Speed or Fast and the Furious or like anything that involves really fast cars, I immediately get in my car and I redline the shit out of it. Like that's just what I do.
Well, that's different though. I mean, you're talking about maybe and okay, I mean they talk about speed kills and whatnot, but it's you're not going out with the intention of breaking something or hurting somebody, right? You're trying to have fun because what they're doing, like you see Tokyo Drift, you see the cars slide around the corners, all the tires are smoking. It just looks fucking cool, right? So I want to go at that. I want to mimic that. And that's what I'm doing. You're not trying to take somebody's life or take something from somebody else. That's where there's a differentiation. Yeah, to say, does the Fast and the Furious franchise, does that promote street racing? Probably, because that's sort of if you want to talk about a level of crime or a level of sin, that's fairly low. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that think, oh, you're driving fast, you should lose your license forever and whatnot. You're going to pay for it in insurance anyway if you get caught speeding. I mean, hell, I did, but it's a different thing than talking about like you're watching Apocalypse Now and oh, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. You're not going to go out and find napalm and start spraying your neighbor's bushes with it. It's just not.
Yeah, this is an episode all on its own.
I have to say, this is pretty funny. I thought I would look up the top movies from 1979. I was 8 years old. I wanted to see, when I was a kid, what were the movies that were influencing me? Movie number 5, Apocalypse Now. Movie number 1, Superman.
Okay. Yep.
Now that's the Superman with
Christopher Reeves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amityville Horror was number 2. Rocky 2. Shawn, your favorite movie. Star Trek, the motion picture, Apocalypse Now, the Muppet movie, The Jerk with my buddy Steve Martin.
Yeah, and how many of those movies came up in the last 7 minutes?
The Muppet movie?
A lot of them.
19...
Yeah,
wow.
that's what I mean. Yeah. We talked about
the thing.
Yeah.
These movies ingrain themselves in you without even thinking about it. The TV show is a funny line, a funny thing that connects with your history, and it sticks with you. And I know that we're not going to necessarily go out and shoot up the neighborhood, but we will get in our car and drive a little faster, or we will leave Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom and never want to eat monkey brains. And we will, you know what I mean? Like, we have these influences in our lives from these movies that it is valid and it does affect our behavior. Whether it's going to affect our behavior really badly or just, this is great, let's suspend disbelief and enjoy it. That is exactly as Mark says, our upbringing, our moral compass. And as much as we would like to think that the majority of people have a solid upbringing and a solid base of logic and fact, the past 2 years have absolutely proven opposite.
Unfortunately,
it's the uncommon fact of common sense. So common sense is uncommon nowadays. You know what I mean? Like the lack of it is fucked up. It's
the lack
ridiculous.
Of grace and poise in the general public freaks me out. If somebody raises their voice in public, I need to leave now.
I start crying, honestly.
Like I used to be able to walk downtown and everything was
visual. Fine. I'm sorry. You're like downtown Toronto and everything's fine. All of a sudden one guy's, hey! And Sean's going,
little pee stream running down his jeans. Oh no.
I'm a very
into a little doorway. No.
I'm a very fragile boy, okay? Leave me alone.
So sensitive.
Not far from the truth for me though.
Yeah. Well, I think the arguments that were brought up when the rating system was introduced in 1968 are valid. People are concerned, and I think that's something that people always forget. When somebody's trying to protect their moral compass, their moral balance in the world, it's really easy to just say, whatever, just let the kids be the kids. And next thing you know, your kids are all raised on horror movies and going out and, becoming violent or whatever. It's a lot harder to sit there with them and watch the movie and explain why it's
Absolutely.
a movie and explain why it's, this is just TV. You're allowed to have fun with it. You can't let that carry on. So not everybody can do both of those things. And that's what the scary thing is. So I understand why these groups were trying to control movies and who can see what. But man, anytime somebody steps up and says you can or can't do something, it's like an international shutdown. I mean, how dare you tell me what I can or can't watch, right? Like I remember when R-rated movies were first announced and TVMA and all these other things.
Yeah, and C-17.
Wow, like I want to be able to see this movie too. But
immediately, there was something about that as a kid for me. I was like, oh, it's rated R. Got to see it.
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
watch it now. It's enticing. It's
not going to go unless
off
it is.
limits,
Absolutely. Does anybody remember the PMRC in Tippergore in the 80s?
Oh my goodness!
Trying to censor music, and you had
Steve Snyder was involved and everything.
John Denver. You had like all these people that were opposed to their rating system, and of course, you saw the explicit lyrics on the cell mark is on a tape case or on a CD, warning explicit lyrics, parental advisory. And I think it was John Denver actually said something along the lines of you're defeating your own purpose, because when you put that on a recorded piece of music, regardless of who the artist is, a teenager is going to see that and say, forbidden fruit, I have to have it.
Exactly.
That which has been censored becomes wanted. So, and they weren't censoring the music; they weren't stopping. I mean, of course, maybe for radio play, but it just made more people want it. Like I remember there was a whole parents group that stopped. We talked about Marilyn Manson earlier. There was a parents group of some city in the States where they stopped him from playing, and they thought they had this huge win because his concert couldn't happen in their city. And all he did was his promoter booked the next city over, which was half an hour away, and all the kids went there. And he sold out, instead of having one concert in the city where he was banned, he sold out like 4 nights or something in the other city. Like, it's just because everybody wanted to go see it now because they weren't allowed to go see it. It's like Footloose, right? We're not allowed to dance, so damn it, we're gonna fucking dance, and we're gonna go outside and online. Everybody loose.
The same idea. Sorry, one more quick aside.
That was good.
Yeah, Mark, love that.
That's how I dance. I sit in a chair.
I think the Insane Clown Posse put out a CD in 1998 under Jive Records, which was a subsidiary of Disney at the time. Which, if anybody who's listening to this is familiar with the Insane Clown Posse, they know that that's absurd. But they put it out, yanked it off the shelves in the same day. But they sold out like tenfold. Like, it was crazy because of that news that they got around it, that it was pulled off the shelves. You can't listen to this. This is too much for you. Now they have this huge following of people who made their face. Yeah. I find it very interesting.
Yeah, it's exactly. And for you talk about it being a subsidiary of Disney, obviously Disney has a brand to uphold and to enforce. So that's where they pulled it so quickly, because they're like, whoa. We don't know how this slipped through, but this is not what our brand is all about, right? Because Disney being family oriented, and obviously Insane Clown Posse, not so much.
Clown murder rap, not good for the kids.
Right.
I'm just making a list here of now versus then. Things that were okay when I was young, which isn't that long ago, versus what people can do today. The first thing that always comes to my mind is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aurora, have you seen Raw and Delirious? Eddie Murphy's work?
You're missing out if you haven't. It's brilliant.
Well, that's the debate, is it?
Well,
interesting.
He was ahead of his time, right? Obviously, with the swearing and the how crass and rude his jokes were. And we all loved it. I mean, as kids, I'm trying to think how old I was when Delirious came out. Like, we did a real asshole thing. We ripped a copy of Delirious. Somebody had it, so on album, on vinyl. So we recorded it onto a tape, and we went to Zeller's, and they had the whole wall of Teddy Ruxpin dolls. You know, the bear that used to tell you stories.
Yeah.
And we put Eddie Murphy Delirious in Teddy Ruxpin. We hit play, buried him at the back of the shelf, and walked away. And
That's brilliant.
There's Teddy Ruxpin going, "Hey, Bonnie, goody goo hoo," and it was like,
unbelievable. Wow.
Eddie, I want half. It was just insane. And it probably played. We hung around for a while. It played for a good half hour, 40 minutes before anybody found it and shut it off. So we had a good yuck about it. So
I mean, like to this day, I still do I like to do that one bit where he's talking about when he gets off the plane, he goes through the airport. He's like, I got my black leather on, a big ass medallion, like that one. Yeah. And whenever I'm at a car meet with a couple of my friends, they're like, come on, do the bit. Because there's just like random people walking around, like it's a public area. And I'm like, I don't really want to like, no, come on. So I yell at the top of my lungs, like, yeah, it's my fucking bag. Like I get all into it and shit. It's funny, right? Like to me, I think that humor, like anything like crass and you know, dark or whatever, like that's my kind of shit, because like it's
said with a funny tone and said with, you know, flair,
for sure,
and said with, you know, over the top attitude and
exactly. You gotta be able to take the worst things of life and be able to joke about them, which is what I try to do, right? Like I want to take
George
the
friggin'
garbage
Carlin.
things. Yeah, exactly.
George Carlin.
George Carlin,
certified genius.
Yep. Transcended all that, I think.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you had a few comedians, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, George Carlin. They were all great, and they were all along that same line where they used the swearing and the cursing, and then, you know, some off-color jokes and things, and it worked for them. And then you had a comedian come in behind them that took it to the next level and didn't last as long, Andrew Dice Clay. And
yes.
And he was so crass and so objectionable that he was getting he was getting canceled, and the whole bit, which made people want to go see him. But
the nursery rhymes were the best, though.
Yeah,
Those were
fucking hickory duck. Don't finish it.
Yeah. Little boy blue. Yeah.
Aurora doesn't even
this
know what's
podcast
going on
would
right
be
now.
over.
Yeah.
The little
Don't
Miss
repeat that
Muffet
whole
one.
bit.
The little Miss Muffet. That was so good.
Sat on their tummy, eating her curds and whey.
Oh.
Okay,
so Dice Man.
Funny story. I love Dice Man. I love the whole shtick. I love the gimmick. It was big back when I first started selling stereos. And I got a cat when I was at work one day, and my friend comes into work and says, "Hey, look at that cute little snapperhead." And I was like, "Oh, that's a great name for a cat." So my cat's name was Snapperhead. And that's why my email is Mr._snaps, because, you know, it's all about that.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
You have to have fun.
Snap ahead. Sorry.
You have to have fun and you have to laugh.
Exactly. But what's really funny is when you start looking at it behind the scenes. For example, Eddie Murphy, who is he today? He's a father, he's a husband, he's had a lot of trouble, but he's still kicking. He's like done Dr. Dolittle and all these respected things. And then because of the swearing part of things, he was in a huge battle back in the day with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was like, "Oh no, you got to be wholesome, ho ho ho. You can't be all swearing. You should be able to be a proper comedian, ho ho ho, and not have to be all this bad person." And now Bill Cosby's, I think he's in jail right now for like.
I think he's out now. Actually,
yeah, but he was definitely he was definitely convicted of the. I don't even know what all the crimes were. I don't follow it that much, but
it's the guys that are putting themselves out there as this wholesome. I'm a perfect person that I really worry about the most.
When the mask falls, you know, then suddenly,
that's
you get exposed. You know,
that's like what we do. We like to not make we don't want people to think that we're, you know, goody two shoes kind of folks, right? Me and John specifically, right? We understand that we're a couple of assholes that just, you know, want to make people laugh, right? We'll get a laugh whatever way we can, and I am a lot more fucked up than he is, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, comedy is subjective, much like everyone else, right? Like every art form is subjective to a certain degree. It just depends on who's in that like little box there that's like, this is brilliant, you know?
I don't think that there's a utility in like making yourself seem to be this like good, you know, a goody two shoes kind of person. I think like, didn't John Mulaney, he has this kind of like squeaky clean image, and then he like maybe cheated on someone or something recently, and everybody's like, "Oh, fuck John Mulaney! Like, what a piece of shit asshole!" It's like, if you put yourself out there, like I'm the squeaky clean poster boy, I'll never do anything wrong, and then once you're human and do something wrong, then boom.
Yeah.
Unless
Obviously,
you're
not to the same degree as Bill Cosby, then in which case you should be in prison. But
Yeah.
unless you're the former president of the United States, in which case you can say, "Well, I could kill somebody on the street and get away with it and still be president," and he was still elected president.
yeah.
Like
Well,
things like that don't make sense to me, but that's a whole different show.
I'm just ashamed that the United States public school system failed so many people.
I'm just ashamed
so badly.
that his father's condom failed. I mean, that's
Oh,
Yes,
what
I
I'm
agree.
ashamed okay.
That's a hot
So
take that I get.
Yeah,
behind.
I think we just got canceled.
back to the show. As creators, we have the power to create things that stimulate, educate, inspire, motivate, sometimes even influence in a way that can change life or lives, generations. Who knows? The whole world. You just don't know what you can change just by creating something interesting. I'm going to go back to TikTok for a quick second. We've had a lot of TikTokers on our show, and we're going to have more because I think TikTok is really showing the power of creativity, the power of a social media platform that can influence and inspire things. One person I can think of is Onia Johnson. I don't know if you guys know Angry Reaction Guy on TikTok.
Yep.
not familiar. Sorry.
This is a guy that was pretty much living on the streets. He made a video. He's black and he's got this angry face, and people are down on themselves. And he's watching this and he's like, "Why are you down on yourself? You're beautiful. You got nothing to worry about." And he's like getting angry at how amazing these people are. And
I love that.
within a couple of days, he has a few million views, and all of a sudden he's famous and he's rich and he owns houses and cars now. And he's influenced this whole generation of people on TikTok. And it's in such a motivational, inspiring, different way. It's just a way of thinking differently and bringing that to people. So if you haven't seen Angry Reaction Guy, check it out. I'd love to get him on the show. That'd be great. But this is what I mean. The power that we have to create something, whether it's a podcast or a movie or a song or anything that you want to create, you have that power in you as the creator to influence a generation. And I think more of us have to see it in that way. I don't know, Aurora, you know quite a few TikTokers. Have there been any social media influencers that you've come across that have inspired you and influenced you?
I mean, there's so many.
Lisa Schwartz, we had her on our show. I know she was an inspiration.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny. I still have her book down here. But she's YouTube.
Oh, right.
Just shout her out again. But
she was a fun guest. I enjoyed talking to her.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many good things on TikTok. I think it's because it's a platform that just allows people to create basically however they want, and it reaches so many people because of the way that the algorithm works. I've gotten so much photography inspiration off of TikTok, personally. So there's that. Just to circle back to the TV show thing that we were talking about, in the movie show thing, I don't necessarily have quotes per se, but there's a couple things that have kind of slipped into my vocabulary. One being from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, how they're always saying noise and
noise all the time.
Oh yeah.
So I have used that so much that nice autocorrects to noise on a regular basis. But and then Brian all the time with the cool from
cool. That's the title of his sex tape.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, right?
So I mean, there's so many examples. I mainly use TikTok for inspiration for everything. So whether it's I'm planning a new shoot or, recipes. Oh my goodness! There are so many good people on TikTok.
The food creators on TikTok are insane.
So cool, so cool. It's sometimes I'm not vegetarian or vegan, but my younger sibling, my younger sister, she is. So anytime I'm trying to figure out what to make her that's new and different, I go on TikTok and I find all these vegetarian or vegan recipes, and it's it's made my life a whole lot easier to think of creative and new things to make for her. So I don't know, just content creation in general is so good and so inspiring. It's a great way for people to connect, and I mean we're in it too, doing podcasting, and I mean again it's a small reach, but
it's a small reach that just takes one thing to change.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that we need to change or do something different, but literally we did one show where we had one guest on, and next thing you know, we had thousands of views on that show. We didn't expect it. We didn't expect the feedback we got. You don't know what you put out there is going to be touched on in a good or bad way, right? So
I didn't expect the random DMs for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
I really hope he's not listening.
Still
that's scary.
Still our most viewed episode, that one.
You don't want to talk about that, do you, Aurora?
We've already talked about it.
Okay.
I would just suggest people to go back to that episode where we talked about it. Do you remember? It was I think it was like a recap episode.
Yeah, definitely drop that. Drop that in the podcast chat there. I'd like to listen to that again.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was this is the thing. I think it's irresponsible to think that people aren't influenced by what we see. It's very irresponsible. Now, to what extent we follow through on the influence, that's how we're raised. That's our upbringing. That's our moral code or structure, right and wrong. If we were raised in a place where we didn't have the same moral structure that we have here, our reaction to things could be totally different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's irresponsible. So it really comes down to parents, raise your kids right.
Yeah. I agree.
That's really what it comes down to, because really we shouldn't have to be so sensitive. There's been so many great movies and shows that have been crass, that have been horrible, that have shown the absolute worst of what a human could do, that didn't turn people into killers and so on. It's less about the movie and more about the person being influenced. And that's, I think, the big takeaway from my
Could not agree more.
take on this. So parents, it's all up to you.
Yeah, if you got like a good moral background or something like that, then seeing something violent, you will be able to compartmentalize what is, good and bad, I guess. Yeah. So that's an interesting point of view. I didn't think about it that way, because my moral grandstanding would be, no, I will not be influenced by things I see. I'm a good person, but that's just me, right? I don't know about anybody else. So it is a good point that people can be if they don't have that framework. Yeah.
Yep. And just because you're influenced, you may not be influenced to the point of doing something stupid, but you're influenced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure, right?
That's like me. Like my mom tried to censor the amount of superheroes that I would, read in comics and watch on TV and whatever else. And the Punisher was mainly the one that she wanted me to stay away from because of the whole skull thing. Oh, it's demonic, blah, 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 all this other bullshit. And, growing up, I was like, hey, you know what? Like the Punisher actually he does good, but in a way that nobody else will do it, right? Like he makes the hard choices
Anti-hero.
that other people won't make. Yeah, exactly. So and growing up, I know that I wasn't gonna start killing a bunch of people or whatever because they did wrong or whatever. But at the end of the day, it was like I understood the difference between him doing right and then the fact that other people would think that he was a psychopath, right? And it's like, no, he's not a psychopath. He just does what the law refuses to do, kind of thing. And again, it what Brian said, he makes a valid point. It's not about, it's mainly about who's being influenced, right? My mom raised me to, not take everything that I see and everything that I hear and, act it out. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of like, you see it. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. Like you understand the hidden messages here and there, but that's like the end of it.
Yeah. You had that moral framework to be like, okay, I can watch The Punisher and know that this isn't something I'm going to take,
Exactly.
I'm not going to pull out a firearm and start shooting bad guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny too, because how often this comes up. My wife and I were actually talking about this exact thing the other day. And we were talking about TV shows from when we grew up that always had sort of the moral. They always had a point, right? And if you think about some of the shows, like Happy Days, always had a point. Like they would get into trouble, and then there was always a ramification. And Leave It to Beaver, growing up, when you had Three's Company, all of the shows, they would have sort of that, they'd get themselves into that situation. What was the other one? Growing Pains that was on there. They'd get into these different strokes. They would get into these impossible situations, and they still do it now with a lot of shows. But then at the end of the show, there's sort of the moral of, oh, you got caught, got caught cheating, got caught lying, whatever it was. There was always sort of that message, that underlying message. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right, was another one. And of course, then he beat up Chris Rock on the. But, it's just one of those things where you think about that, the shows, and they did that intentionally to try and influence people to sort of build that moral code differentiate between right and wrong.
There's a positive spin to that too. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even look at the Archie Bunker, right?
Oh, yeah. All
that
family
was extremely, extremely edgy for the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Black family moving into the neighborhood.
Him and the Jeffersons and stuff.
Guy.
Yeah, the Jeffersons. Yeah.
I mean, that was TV that needed to be made to show people that it's not acceptable to feel certain ways, right? Like they're influencing on purpose to try and change that negativity. Yeah. And perception is also the biggest thing. We just talked about it, how you perceive the whole story, the whole thing. For example, music. Didn't want to get it. You said The Punisher. Your mom didn't want it because of the skull and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but Rush is one of my all-time favorite bands. More for the music than the Getty. But that's
who? Never heard of them. Never heard of them.
What a rush! There's another quote from wrestling. There you go. Anyway, the original time that I went and looked into Rush, a friend when I was living in Mississauga was huge into Rush, and he had all the albums. And I went over to his house and I went to check out his album selection. And I'm going to do a quick screen share here. And here we go.
You had 12. It was just Rush. Was it?
There you go. So as you see on the cover of 2112, there's the pentagram with the guy in front. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, no, I can't listen to this devil music.
Not a pentagram. It's a star.
I was 7 years old, 8 or 10 years old.
But it's
I
not
didn't
a
know
pentagram.
that. And there was that. And then there's like the moving pictures has all these people that look kind of creepy. And, all of these albums to me look so creepy that I totally wrote off Rush as being an option to listen to for years and years until I lived in Vermont. And I was like 14 years old. And my friend's like, oh, you got to listen to this music. And then I heard the music and fell in love with them and didn't care about the albums. But perception is one of those things that if it's brought to you in the wrong way, or if it's not explained to you properly, it's completely misunderstood. And with the way music is and the way art is, it's important to have that kind of clarity and in that kind of introduction to it in the right way, I think.
Yeah, like I'm with Brian on that too. Like music it's kind of it's like its own separate little thing, but it's the same thing, right? Perception is a big deal with when it comes to music. Like my mom hates the fact that I listen to Slayer. Absolutely detests it because it's just Christ is a god who does a bunch of fucked up shit, like fuck Jesus and all that other shit. And I whenever I meet people, they're like, oh, what kind of music you listen to? I'm like, anything that involves sacrificing people for Satan, that's
a hard sell in a religious family. It's a very tough sell, especially if you're into Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse has songs like "fucked with a knife." Like you can't pitch that to anybody without it sounding insane. But I'm a grown I have to listen to that stuff on private mode on Spotify, obviously. So so nobody can tune into my sessions. I'm not listening to Infant Annihilator with people watching.
Yeah. How do you even hear about these things?
we're the Black
Annihilator. That's a band I should be listening to. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's really absurd, insane stuff. But I'm a grown person, and I realize that this is crass, and I realize this is awful. But I could still listen to it and be a functioning adult. Functioning mileage may vary on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because people say, well, what are your musical tastes? And I go, well, my musical tastes range from, oh, that's cool, to please don't judge me. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned in the 51 years that I've been around, it's keep an open mind. Yeah. Let people talk. Hear what they have to say. Hear the story behind the story. Don't judge too quickly, and if I could
Yeah.
follow those words of advice, I'd be a better person. I know
That's right.
I think it right now because we're having this conversation, but it doesn't always stick, right? And sometimes you have to remind yourself. One of my biggest learning lessons in music was the band Tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with a name like Tool, I didn't even want to listen to it. It's like Tool, a bunch of tools. I don't even want to, right? Until you hear the music, until you open
hear
yourself up.
6 and 2, and then you're like, oh no.
You know, actually, it's funny you say it because 46 and 2 was the first song that got me into it. And it wasn't Tool playing it. It was a bunch of kids at a school playing 46 and 2 that I'm like, kids can play this song? And it was so good. And I went on this tangent and listened to every Tool.
Talented kids can play that song, not just
very talented.
True.
Very capable musicians. You know?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely true. Absolutely. But no, that's one of those things that if I didn't open my mind and just accept this amazing stuff, that is my favorite band of all time by far. So, yeah. Anyway, enough about me. So that's been a great conversation. I think we got a lot covered. And if you guys have anything else to add, go right ahead. Anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye for the day?
I think that it's important to think critically. I think that at the end of the day, if you're going to ignore that there are implications to, you know, perception and stuff like that, I think that if you're willing to have that conversation with yourself, that it's more important than anything, like whatever people think you're being influenced by or whatever. You know, I know that, you know, Fuck the Police by NWA has an effect on people. I understand that they weren't allowed to play that song for a while because of their label. Things like that. But then, like, I don't know. I love this conversation. I love the effect that art has, like art ethics, I suppose. Love that.
Yeah.
Art
have
ethics.
it more often.
Yeah, exactly. And have this conversation with your kids too. If you're parents and you've got children or you're influencing other people's lives, make sure people know that you should keep an open mind to everything. I may not like country music, but that doesn't mean I can't respect it and appreciate it.
I knew there was a reason I liked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just to add to the aim, I may not like country music thing. I do not like country music.
Yes.
But I am going with my best friend to Nashville this September.
Well,
so I don't know how I'm gonna survive.
Where are you going?
Nashville,
yeah.
Oh, right, yes.
There's a lot of great rock clubs in Nashville too, right?
Yes.
You don't just because it's Nashville doesn't mean you got to get all the twangy and have your truck leave you and your dog run away.
Yeah, but even if you do have the twangy and the dog leaving you, you're going to be in Nashville doing it, which has this completely different feel, and you're going to be living it. You're not just going to be hearing it on the radio and thinking, change it. You're going to see the people's expressions.
Oh yeah, the excitement. You know,
totally
you got to eat the food. You got to see that environment. You know.
Yeah. I think a big part of our vacation is going to be eating food and drinking drinks the whole time.
Sounds about right.
Sounds like a good vacation to me.
That's good to me. Yeah.
I hope you do the show from there. I think that would be really cool. If that works out.
I don't know if I'm in there at that time, but if I am, I might stop in for a few minutes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really good.
Like walking down Broadway is just like.
Nice.
That'd be awesome. That would be so cool. All of a sudden, Elvis runs past you, and you're like, "Hey, that was Elvis." All right.
That was actually one of my requirements when I went to Las Vegas. I had to get a picture with Elvis.
You know, Shelley used to do the stage management for like Collingwood Elvis Festival and different Elvis festivals and stuff. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, there's somebody that I should get on the show. Danny Granger. He's a former Elvis tribute artist, and he's an artist with Sharpie pencils, Sharpie markers. He does like drawings of the Toronto Maple Leaf players and has them sign it and stuff like that for charity. And I should talk to Danny. He's a good guy.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mark, Shawn, John, Aurora, anything else you'd like to say before I say the last two bits before we say goodbye?
I'm gonna piggyback with Brian there when he said just have an open mind. Like have an open mind and understand where your influences can, like how far your influence in music and movies and TVs will take you. Obviously don't shy far away from being a decent human being, right? Everybody should at least be a decent human being, but don't let your music or your TV or your video games or whatever else influence you to become someone you're not, right? Always remember who you are and you know, to be unique, but be unique in a way that, you know, you can speak volumes in a positive way to other people, like peers, family, friends, shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. I agree wholeheartedly with Shawn. And I want to echo that, but also say it's not just movies and music and the media you consume. Also think about if your group of friends or your employer are trying to make you do something that is not you, something that you're not, someone that you are not. And we talked before the show, and I'm not going to get into a whole bit because it's a whole political thing, and there was a thing I signed. But my previous employer was trying to turn me into someone I was not. And that's why I was seeking a change. That was a large part of why I was not happy, because it wasn't right the way they were pushing me. So know that for yourself, know your limits. And that's where if somebody's trying to change you, if it's your friends that are trying to change you, reevaluate your friends. Like say, wait a minute, they're trying to force me to do something or force me to be someone I'm not. That's where it's not just always media and movies and music, right? It can be people as well that can influence you. And the last thing I want to say is welcome, Shawn and John. I'm really excited to have you here. And, as much as I joke about you guys are going to get portraits from Aurora, I did my own just because of where I am versus, I'm sure if I'd have been closer in Innisfil still, Aurora probably would have done mine, but Aurora edited mine and that's good enough for me. So I'll probably joke about it because everybody's going to be taken by Aurora.
One of these days, I'm going to make a trip up to Thunder Bay.
I have space. You and Andrew come on up. And
if the cops weren't called on you when you were at our store, we could have done it then if you were able to hang out a little.
Right? Well, apparently I'm evil, and I left the dogs in the car on a fairly cool day. All the windows and the sunroof open. Yeah, it's just I'm just nasty.
Horrible, man. Horrible.
You were in our store for maybe like 5 minutes. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. Well, it's just that the dogs, when you leave them in the car, they sing the song of their people, and that song is to tell everyone that we're mean, nasty people, and we left them behind. So that's why they bark. They're not in duress; they're just mouthy. And
All right, well, that's awesome, guys. I've loved tonight. I've had a great time tonight. I've talked too loud, as you can tell. My wife had to tell me to shut up.
That's a sign of a good episode, I'd say.
That's always a sign of a good episode.
Yes.
And I just want to remind our viewers that we all have the power to think it through and to make it happen. And that is the challenge we would like to give you all this week. We try and issue a challenge. The challenge we have is create something. Podcast, a movie, a song, anything you like. Just think of something that you'd like to create and go through the paces of making it come to reality. We've had a few of our guests give that challenge in some way or form, but I can't stress it enough. Just to create something is such a good feeling. I myself am working on a new idea for a different kind of podcast, which I haven't talked to anybody about yet. Whether it happens or not, who knows? But I'm having fun.
Sure? Are you sure you haven't talked to anybody about that?
Wait a minute.
Most people I haven't talked to about
I will refer you back to our chat from the other night.
I will be tuning into whatever it is, though.
Well, I don't even know if it's something that people want to listen to yet. So that's one thing. And I've got another idea for a TikTok thing that I want to do. But you know what? If they never happen, I'm having fun planning it. I'm having fun working on it and thinking about it and talking to Mark about it and, and things like that. But just do something, create something, and be a creator. And that's the big thing I would like to leave with everybody tonight.
Perfect. And please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends if you've enjoyed the episode. Tell your friends if you hated the episode, keep it to yourself.
and interact with us if you're doing these challenges or if you're just liking it. Post a comment, interact.
Yeah, man. If you're gonna drop a like, might as well drop a comment too.
Exactly. And we'll let most of them through.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe one day we'll get the AI properly, and we'll actually have John's picture on here because John is actually a computer; he's not actually a person. That's that's why there's no picture.
I'm like Hal. I'm like Hal.
It's Hal or Max Headroom, one or the other. Yeah.
All right. That's enough for us. All right. Thank you all so much for watching this week. And again, as the guys already said, like, subscribe to our channel, share this with some other people that you think might enjoy it, and keep on watching and have fun. Thank you all so much for watching episode 25, otherwise known as episode 60 or episode 0.
It's a quiz later.
That's not confusing.
Not confusing at all. No.
We're going to have to do the math on that one. Yeah.
All right.
Carry the one.
Take care, everybody. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Ooh.